Hey everybody, thanks for coming by Open Visual Effects. This is Sean, and today I wanted to go over timecode burn-in inside of Natron. Get that set up for you automatically. Timecode is super useful, not just timecode actually, but also like project name, date, that kind of stuff. It's super useful when you're talking to clients, getting feedback, constantly giving new versions. They may refer to other versions. They may like something from one version, but something else from another version, or they like everything through half the shot, but then at a certain frame things start looking weird, and that's what they want to comment on. So it's great to have the project name, the date, the frame number, that kind of stuff right there in every clip that they're reviewing, and that way it's super easy for everybody to refer back and forth to things. And what I tend to do is leave that on until the shot is final and approved and everything's perfect and I'm about to render the final one for delivery. Then I will turn it off, render it, and deliver that one, and I'm done with it. So real quickly, you can kind of set it up however you like. I tend to set it up like Blender actually, because I'll do a lot of my early previs inside of Blender and use the timecode that's in there, the frame burn-in and all that kind of stuff. So then when I go to Natron, or even if I do it in another program like After Effects or something, I'll set it up in there as well. And I set it up all to match Blender so that it doesn't look jarring and everybody gets used to looking in the same spot for frame numbers or the date or whatever. So the settings I generally like are, and here you can see it in Blender. It's right here in your metadata, in your output properties metadata. You can just turn that on, burn into image. You can set a font size and color. I tend to leave it around 20, and I will turn off some of these things. I tend to like I've been talking about, is the file name, the project name, so I always know which project actually that we're looking at. The scene down here, which isn't always useful because I don't really change that very much. I generally like to know that that's, if I see it saying scene, I know it's Blender. In Natron, I'll make it say Natron scene, or in After Effects, it'll say After Effects scene. I like the date, I like the frame number. So yeah, that's kind of how I set that up here in Blender, and then I will render it out with that. And you can see right here we're on frame 766. It says 766. It'll update the whole way through, which is perfect. So in Natron, the way to set that up is you've got your shot here, your basic shot. Let me go actually to the front here where there's this planet fills more of the frame. What I do is you can put, if you just put the code over it, you can see it gets hard to read, right, when something bright is behind it. So we tend to put a little bit of a dark square behind it, so it's always readable, and you can adjust that per shot, whatever. In Blender, it's automatic. You just turn that on and it does it. Here in Natron, I just set up some rotos. I set up a black constant, and I set up a roto where I just roto in those boxes behind the text, and everything works great. Super easy. And then these are literally just text. These are just text boxes. If you hit, if you're in here and you search, you hit tab to search and you start typing text, you'll get everything that's in here. And the text draw is the one you want. It's the default Natron text editor. So if you take a look at it, you can see that's what it looks like. And you've got some placement settings. You can kind of drag this around, and you can see that's actually updating over here. The center, that kind of moves it around. You can enter your text here, and then down here is where you've got your font size, all that kind of stuff. You can even do a background for it here if you wanted to turn that up. And you can see actually there's also a thing called auto size. If you turn that on, it'll drop it down there to the bottom corner and clip the background to the text, which is kind of cool, except you can't move it around now. So it's not super useful. It's good if that's all you want is the frame number in there. This is fine. You can turn that on, set your slightly black background, and then get it done. But if you want other things like file name and date and all that, I don't recommend using that, or I don't recommend using that. So yeah, so what I tend to do is, if we take a look at this one, actually, this is just the first one. And all I've done is set the, in Blender here, I like to keep my font size at 20. So over here, I found the matching one, which is not 20, it's 15 in here. But I've even set got the Blender font, which I can put the Blender, or the name of the font, in the blog post. And then I just type in the file path and file name, which sadly you do have to update manually if you do it this way. If anybody does know the Python to grab a Natron project name and file path and just get it up here, that would be spectacular. If you post it, share it, I'll share it as well, make sure it gets out. But for now, I just type that in, and then every time I version up, I just have to remember to update that. I've got the date here, same spot. Add them together. I've got the scene down here. Like I said, in Natron, I'll make it a Natron scene. If I'm in another program, I will change that. And that way I'll always know whether the client's looking at a Blender file or a Natron or whatever. So that's what I've got there. And then the last part is that frame number, which is right here, which you can see if I move to a different frame, it updates 226, 226, 417, 417. So it updates. And the way to do that is to go in here and do all the normal stuff, right? Set it where you want, same text. In here, instead of just typing something in, you're going to set an expression. So what that would look like is, let's take a look at this one, right? Enter text, right? You go down here, right click in here, set expression, and you get this. You get the little expression box. And the expression you want is this right here, actually. And I'm just going to grab that and copy it and paste it in here, and you can see it's already giving you the result, frame 417. Hit OK, frame 417. You can see now as you change that, it will update. The only thing to remember really is to use what's called a monospace font. I don't think oh yeah, maybe Arial is. Yeah, some of them you'll see when it's a thinner number. If you're not using a monospace font, you'll see these numbers kind of shift and jump around. It's not a big deal, but it's a small thing. But monospace tends to work nicer. And that's really it. You just paste that in, place it where you want, and you're good to go. And you can see it does match the Blender one perfectly. Let me close that. If I go to, let's see, what's this file? 608. If I go to frame 608, down here, back one frame, and we look at this, right, 2, 1. So there's the exact same Blender, Natron. Looks exactly the same, which is exactly what I want. And that's it. Yeah, that's how to do that. So hopefully that's helpful. And like I said, if anybody has any idea of how to get some of this other information in here automatically using Python or something, please do share, and I'll make sure it gets out and around. Thanks for watching. Bye.